Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest issue of Retro Gamer Magazine. And as you can see, we've gone Dragon Slayer crazy. Dragon Slayer is 30 years old this year, and we've got some cool interviews with one of the creators of the game. So let's dive inside and have a look. So, okay then. So first up, we've got a cool exclusive interview with Team 17 on the fact that Super Frog's returning. We've got a little bit of content from the forum as well. We're moving back more to the community aspects of the magazine, which we have dropped in recent months. So expect to see things like that on the forums if you head along to them at www.retrogamer.net/forum. Okay then, so Ian Lee's talking about clearing out most of his retro collection, something that I'm sure we've all considered at some time or another. And we've also got a cool interview with the guys who made the Auric 1, because it turned 30 this year. We often get told by guys in the forum that we don't cover as much of the more obscure 8-bit stuff. So this is a dedication for you guys. Paul Davies is talking about. Let's close this a minute. It's talking about why there doesn't seem to be as much heated rivalry with consoles as there used to be back in the day, and if people still care about incoming stuff. And this is an interview with Doug TenNapel, who's best known for creating Earthworm Jim, the popular 16-bit worm who liked to hang out in a spaceman's outfit. Moving on, we've got back to the 80s and back to the 90s. I've not actually played this game. This is Metal Marine on the SNES, but I actually like the look of it. It came out on the PC as well, so it's one of those games which, whenever I read stuff in the mag, if it gets my interest, I always try and hunt down a copy of the game to check it out. And this does look like it could make my SNES collection. So this is obviously our main feature. It's 30 years of Dragon Slayer. We look back at the history of the coin-op, the influence it's had. We look at the various sequels which have appeared. We were able to interview Gary Goldman, one of the creators of the original game. Unfortunately, Don Bluth still escapes us. This is looking at some of the games which owe a nod to Dragon Slayer, things like Another World, Shenmue, and Heavy Rain. And we've also got nice little reader snippets, just to add to that community spirit. And this is cool as well. You may be aware of this, but there's a documentary coming out called Inside the Dragon's Lair by Martin Toohey, and we were able to basically interview him, and we'll be following it up once the actual documentary is released later on in the year. Cheapest Chips. This is probably going to be the last Cheapest Chips now, so we thought we'd finish with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're trying to move away from these single pages because we do so few of them in the magazine. They don't really tend to work. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb. So, if it does come back, it will come back as a 2-page spread, as it were. Okay then, so this is another game which is 30 years old. This is Death Chase, also known as 3D Death Chase. And this came out on the Spectrum, and it was this really cool game where you just basically went hell-bent for leather through all these trees, dodging them as fast as you can. Imagine like Return of the Jedi on speeder bikes, but in a clapped-out Yamaha. And that kind of gives you an idea of what it was like. Unfortunately, Mervyn Escort, the game's creator, has proven to be, well, he just doesn't want to talk. And, I've made numerous attempts to contact him over the last 7-8 years, and some people want to talk, some don't, and he's one that doesn't. But we were able to get hold of people who did work with him at Microgen, so just to get an insight into the game and what makes it so good. Okay, then this is import only. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but it's a really interesting sumo wrestling game for the Mega Drive. And this is Punch-Out! Ultimate Guide. Punch-Out's recently been re-released on the Wii U, so we thought we'd take a look at it in a bit more detail. One of the things we will be doing with the Ultimate Guide is we are changing the format of it, so it's not as templated and we can have a bit more fun with it. And we want to continue doing things like this, which I think looks really, really cool. And this is obviously every boxer in the arcade game and the NES game. And this guy in particular was an absolute nightmare because we were playing this via emulator, and you can only get a certain distance into the game on a continue, and it only lets you have one more go. And if you mess up, you just can't get anywhere. And we just couldn't beat the third boxer. And then we found out eventually that there was a save state. So, lesson learned. Okay, then this game looks absolutely awful, but it's a really fun racer from Codemasters called ATV Simulator. And let's come back so you can see the magazine more. And this is Bizarre Creations. We've managed to speak to quite a few of the developers. We'll be speaking to Martin Chudley soon as well about Project Gotham Racer. But in the meantime, this is a look at the company. It focuses on their early games like Wiz and Liz, right up to them getting cancelled while they were working on Blur 2. Okay, then this is our list feature, the always controversial list feature. Some people don't like lists, some people love them. I think personally that they're a great way to break up the flow of the magazine. We have a lot of dense stuff in Retro Gamer, a lot of developers content, and we've still got developer content anyway because we've been speaking to some of the guys who have been working on who worked on the games that have been mentioned. So these are all games which were either responsible for defining the PC or just like set the benchmark for genres to come. So we've got things like Dune 2 instead of Command and Conquer because Dune 2 basically did all the groundwork, as it were. But we got numerous interviews with like Robin Miller, Myst, John Romero talking about Doom. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I think it's a really good read myself. This is a popular Spectrum game called Wriggler. It's not one that I've actually played prior to reading the article, being a Amstrad boy and all that, but it's certainly something which I've played since, and it's really good fun. Interestingly, this is the only game that the company Romantic Robot ever made, so it's worth checking out for that alone, I would say. So again, this is something different we're trying. This is the evolution of platformers. We may continue this to look at shoot 'em ups, to look at beat 'em ups, driving games, so on. But we thought we'd have a play around with it, and the idea is that we've been looking at the each genre, as it were. So we've looked at like the 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit to 64-bit, and then 128-bit to present. So it's a lot of information to cram into, obviously, just a spread. But I feel we've done a really good job of getting all the key bases covered. We've got a timeline looking at all the most important games from those periods. We look at the overall thing. Like one of the things with the 16-bit genre was that there was a big focus on licensed games. There was a big focus on the battle between Sonic and Mario, and again, lots of developer input, including Greg Mayles from Rare, who's just brilliant. He's one of those guys that he pretty much runs Rare, but he's always got time to speak to Retro Gamer, mainly because he apparently really likes the magazine, which is always nice to hear. And Future Classic No More Heroes, really good Wii game. This is one I have actually played. I've not played the sequel yet, but I do recommend that you give this a chance if you have got a Wii. It is also available on the PlayStation 3, but I don't think it's supposed to be as good. Okay then, this is, your eyes don't deceive you, this is a PlayStation 2 feature. However, this doesn't mean that we're going to be now doing loads of PlayStation 2 content every month. We just wanted to celebrate the fact that it's the most popular selling console of all time. It's lasted for an impressive 13 years, and this is kind of like a timeline looking at the key things that happened while it was out. I mean, one thing you'll notice is that towards the end, it jumps from like 2006 to like 2013, but that's pretty much because the PS3 came out and there wasn't really a lot of exciting, interesting stuff happening on the machine. But yeah, so we wanted to pay homage to it. But yeah, don't think that this now means that next month there's going to be a making of Killzone, because we're fully aware that while some people do consider the PS2 retro, there's still lots of cool retro stuff that we can be covering. Okay then, so moving on, we've got the Unconverted, another popular feature. It is fun going back to these arcade games and just playing through them, revisited them or discovered them for the first time. This is a making of Busby the Bobcat. Well, Busby and Claws Encounters of the Third Kind. That's the actual title, but I've always called it Busby the Bobcat myself. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one because, you know, I think that you shouldn't just be covering really good games. You should be covering like important or interesting games, and this is certainly interesting because, you know, it was supposed to be Acolyte's alternate to Sonic the Hedgehog, and it just didn't happen like that, and this feature gives you an insight into why that happened. This is Mark Turmel. He's best known for working at Midway. He also cut his teeth on the Apple II before moving into arcade games with things like Smash TV and NBA Jam. Really interesting feature. Lots of anecdotes, like he could have been Microsoft's 13th employee and a millionaire by now, but that didn't actually happen. Really good, interesting read. So Kirby's Dream Course, really cool SNES game, basically mixes Kirby with Crazy Golf. And then on to the reviews. So we've got Tomb Raider, which is a really good reboot. If you've not played it, check it out. Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. This is really cool. This is Arcade Craft, where you basically, it's like Theme Hospital with arcade stuff. The only downside to it is that it does run out of steam a little quickly. Download section. The homebrew section. And the letters page. This is obviously some of the other covers we were considering, just so you can see those, because I know people like to know what other things we have in the pipeline. And moving on to next month, so we've got a history of Chase HQ. We've got a making of Indiana Jones's Greatest Adventures, Temple of Doom, and Infernal Machine. Making of Adventure. We look at 70s home computers. We've got a guide. I'm working on a list at the moment of the most essential shoot 'em ups you can play, mainly focusing on stuff which was really innovative at the time. And NBA Jam, we've actually pushed back a month, so you won't actually be able to read that. You'll have to wait an additional month, I'm afraid. Finishing off with Wave Race 64 and the truly awfully rubbish Shaq Fu. So that's your lot for this month. Retro Gamer, it will be available next Thursday to buy. You can also buy it from the Imagine Shop at www.imagineshop.co.uk. And it's available as a subscriber, hopefully by this weekend. This is Darren Jones from Retro Gamer Magazine, and I'll be back with more videos very, very soon, guys. Take care.